Good day, Bob here at Weldnrust, and we're continuing on with our back panel, more fabrication fun. Now this is where it gets interesting. You can see I used the aluminum plate and I clamped it in a couple of spots. In an ideal world, I'd have humongously long clamps that can reach all the way through. I don't have them. Chances are pretty good you ain't gonna have them either. So my plan is, I'll put a tack here. I think I'm gonna put one here. Doesn't work, I can always break a tack. And I'll come in from that end and put a couple more in. And I'm gonna have to start putting pressure on here when I actually do the welding. I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna leave it on here to do that, or if I'm gonna actually put it down on the ground where I can actually stand on and actually put some weight on it to get pressure on to get it where I want it. We're gonna find out. That doesn't look good. Slightly overlapping on here, so I may have to touch that with the grinder to get it together. So I'm just going to leave that for now. That's as far as I can reach in there. Yeah, if I got any more spots that are like that and don't quite fit, I'll leave them. What I would do is take a cut-off disc, just slightly touch it a little bit, just to get it to clean up a bit. I don't care if there's a slight gap, but I can't have overlap. That won't be good. Not bad. Won't know for sure until I get it on the car. I think before I do that, I might fill in a few more welds. Nah, I'm not going to bore you with that. I think we're going to skip to what happens when we put it on the car.
Well, it's a new day and a new perspective. What I've done is I've put the lid on, and as you can see, I've tacked in that pie piece just enough to hold it together. What I've got here is a steel ruler, and I'm using the ruler instead of mild steel because mild steel, when you bend its shape, it stays bent. This has got a little more spring to it, so it'll kind of hold its shape better, and it'll go back straight when I take it off. But it gives me a better idea of what the curve is going to look like. You can see how the edge follows the body line. But the issue I got right now is you can see a fair bit of gap in here. My original thought was to reduce the pie shape and narrow this, but then the curve, which is great up there, won't be so good up there if I narrow things down here. What I'm going to have to do is I'll probably have to reform this or recurve this or get a different shape to match with this better. I think I mentioned before about where this was going to end up. When I measure from here over, it's only about 1 inch coming out, which looks just about right, and the curve itself matches this shape better. Well, we're back on to weld grind, weld grind, weld grind ad infinitum. It's going to take a while. All right, we got all our teeny tiny little spot welds in, all through. It was absolute tedium. That's why I didn't film it. I wasn't going to subject you to that. But it's basically little spots all the way, letting things cool, adding more, letting it cool. And it doesn't really take that long to cool, especially if you're moving around quite a bit. It's usually not that big of a deal. One of the things that it's hard to catch is once you think you've got them done, you find all these other little tiny spots that I missed. So it's going back over and filling them. And what I've noticed about this panel, it's actually slightly raised in spots where the weld is. And I think that's good because the next bit of tedium is grinding all these flat. One of the reasons I went to the inside of the panel for the welding is when I grind it, I don't have to grind it perfectly flush. Some guys might agree if I'm using the English wheel, it would be helpful if I did that. But my biggest issue is I don't want to grind to the point where I start thinning this metal. So that's why I'm going to leave it maybe slightly proud or just touch this portion and then leave it there. And I'll flip the panel over and I'll grind off any other high spots that showed up from when I blasted through with the MIG in a few spots. Anyways, that's the next plan. Sorry guys, but this is a bit of an example of do as I say, not as I do. With this panel, it definitely has some warpage issues. We kind of expected that. But one of the things I did find, there were some weld areas that were actually proud, which is great. They ground down. Some of them were actually sunk down. So in order to get most of the weld off, I had to kind of gouge in like this, just to come in to try to get most of it out. So of course I'm going to scrape a bit of the material around it. It's just the way it is. Anyways, we're going to flip it on the other side and do some more weld grinding. Well, as you can see, this panel, it worked pretty good. But I think before I wheel it, I'm going to see if I can get most of it out with the hammer and the dolly. All right. What you see here is me playing with this a little bit. But what I want to show you is what you can do with a hammer and a dolly. Most people don't have an English wheel. So it's good to see if you can actually do it with simple tools. But what I'm going to do is I've used this just because it's rubber, it's soft. Well, sorry, hard plastic, not that soft. What I've done in here is because if you got a dip, this will work like a fulcrum. And you can actually push up against it when you hammer up underneath. And that will get most of the dents out. See, where I've got it now, if I were to use, let's say, 1/8 of an inch of filler, I could smooth it, but that's too much filler for my liking. So I want to get it a little bit flatter first and see where we go from there. The other thing to note is when I do body work, my hands are my eyes. Because I actually use my hands to feel where the low and the high spots are. And you can get it fairly flat. Okay, curved. Yeah, get it the way you want it. All right, so let's just start hitting this a little bit. Few spots a little high middle. I think you saw how nasty it was before. Let's see if I can show you something. My stringy steel. Okay, come have a look at this. Here, back it up a little bit. And we'll bring this in. You can see what the ruler's sitting on it. I still got a few little high spots, but it's way better than what it was. Yeah, a little low spot there, but it's definitely better than what it was. Well, I got a little bit more hammer dolly work to do. That's kind of tedious. But the English wheel, I need an extra pair of hands for, and as you can see, I only got 2 and I need 4. So I'm gonna have to wait until I get some help. Today, our plan is to run this piece of metal through that English wheel. The issue we got is this is about the same width as this. I'm not sure how well this is going to work, if it's actually going to fit. Anyways, that is the plan. We'll see how this one's going to work. Okay, this may be a bit of an exercise in futility. You can't see her, but I do have my dance partner here, and that's about the best way to describe it. Dancing, because you're trying to move in unison with someone else. So make sure if you do this, you do have someone, how shall we say, is pretty good at following when you're leading. And here, the biggest problem we got, and I kind of knew this was going to happen, it's tight in here. It doesn't fit as nice as I would like in here, but we're going to try it anyways and see what happens. Worst comes to worst, I'll be straightening it out with a hammer and dolly. So, shall we? Okay, you're just going to follow along. I'm trying to, ooh, too much pressure. It won't let me do it. All right. So I'm going to start sliding this way and back and forth, okay? Oh, look at that. Steer and slide back. Steer and slide back. All right, we're going to go a little bit further over this way. All right, go this way. A little more that way. Now, if I can see what I'm doing with the panel, it's fine. See, it wouldn't be so bad if I could just be on this side. But I have to hold the panel up here in order to make it get it through, which makes it challenging. So I think in this case, we're just going to keep our strokes a little shorter. Work our way across. Okay. Now. I think my dance partner is getting the hang of this. I will mention something about her. She is English. Okay. Alright, so now we got a bit of weight on here. But yeah, see, this end is also wider, which doesn't make it easier. Alright, stop there. Yeah, we might be causing more trouble than it's worth. Alright, I'm going to try and take this off camera. Can you hold this, please? Can we, hang on, I'll slide it in. Okay. Let me show you what happened. Apparently, the English wheel, if you try and push things in too hard, it just doesn't work. You can see the creasing in here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but a nice raised area right here. There's a lesson in this. You just can't force an English wheel. I was trying to put too big of a part through the opening. It's just not working. My only other option is to literally back it up, cut this thing apart and make it bigger. That's not an option. So we're going back to hammer dolly. I'll be able to fix it. It's just going to take some time.
Okay. I basically did this off camera for, what, 5 minutes? Maybe not even that. And most of this badness has gotten a lot better. Okay. So, yeah, I can fix this. But it is irritating when you want to try and do something, but you got to experiment sometimes. How else are you going to learn, right? Anyways, I think that's going to be it for this one. I hope you like, hopefully subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for watching.